Hey everyone. Oh, there you are. Hello everyone. It's Isaya. I'm just going to get rid of this thing that says that the life is starting soon because it has started. And this is one of my Things Women Don't Talk About podcast episodes. So, if you remember, let me introduce myself first because I very often forget to do that. So, let me be proper this time. So, I'm Isaya. I'm an artist. I'm a magical, pragmatic inspiration mentor and tech coach. I'm a goddess teacher, traveling priestess, and I work with the goddesses, the Greek goddesses archetypes, and I facilitate sacred retreats on worldwide. Excuse my English. I've been talking Greek all day, so it's kind of, I'm lost in translation. This particular podcast series is called Things Women Don't Talk About. And it's a series where I have a guest tonight. It's Katische Haberfield. It's about conversations with a guest around topics that are seldom discussed, whether they are difficult or not serious enough to be broadcasted, whether too mundane or too sacred, too dark or too light, taboo or too fun. And no subject is off the table. So today, my guest is Katische, and Katische is a soul therapist specializing in spiritual regression and spirit releasement therapy. She specializes in helping clients release negative energies and attachments that may be holding them back from living their fullest lives. Through her sessions, she can help you access deeper parts of yourself and connect with your inner wisdom. Her passion for this work comes from a deep belief in the power of healing and self discovery. And I, for one, can be sure that this is the exact thing that's happening because I've been working with Katish quite a lot, and you can find me on her podcast, which is called again because I don't want to.
The Infinite Life with Katische Haberfield.
Absolutely. Hey, Trudy. So we have a few people joining us live. And so welcome, Katish. I'm really happy to have you. And our subject is one of those juicy ones. So how did we title it again? Are you alone in your body? So we discuss the probabilities of you not being the only soul inhabiting your body at any given moment and the ways to regain sovereignty while at the same time helping lost souls transit into the light. So, yeah, that seems like a big one, right? Are we alone in our body? Um, so, I'm going to introduce that subject by talking about myself. And I was the person that doesn't believe any of this. I was the person that was not even sure that souls existed as a specific separated thing from me. And then I met Katish, and it was like, and indeed, I came to realize that maybe I was not alone in my body. And it was really so interesting to see that for me, the fear was what kept me small. So, is that something that you experience with many people where you start talking about spirit and souls and
Well, it is very confronting, don't you think? We're not taught about this sort of stuff. It's not like
no?
maths 101, add two numbers together and you get a greater number. Well, this is about adding souls together that shouldn't be there. It's not in your standard curriculum. You don't learn about past lives. And in fact, it's very rare that people talk about it to their children or even to themselves. So yeah, it is kind of a taboo
Agreed.
subject, and it was made
Agreed.
taboo.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, it was also surrounded with a layer of fear, kind of. If I'm not alone there, for sure, the others are not well intentioned, which is not true either. I came to realize that I maybe I was not alone, but the others were not enemies if there were others. And that was another step into me being okay with being less afraid, basically, and with learning more. Do you think we should teach that? Or, because knowledge, it decreases fear, kind of, you know.
Yeah, I teach it. That's what my podcast is, teaching through action. We do have a large battle ahead of us in the fact that reincarnation is not accepted as a metaphysical or scientific fact yet, despite the fact that it was part of religion and has been part of most religions, and the fact that it was taken out of the Christian religion in the Nicene Creed. So Christians did believe in reincarnation
Mm-hmm.
and said, "Thou shalt not anymore." And since then, we have been used by the powers that be to control thought by keeping us in fear. And I'm not a fearmonger, but keeping us in fear by thinking this is our only chance, this is our only life, and we have to follow a set of certain strict rules. Otherwise, we shall go to hell.
Yeah, I get that. So, what do you believe?
What do I believe? I believe that,
Or what do you
uh,
experience, rather? Because
yeah,
it's not a belief question, you know.
yeah, no, I have experienced and can remember many, many past lives, and have specifically gone into regression sessions to check out the facts, so to speak. And when I check out the facts, I know them to be true because I experience the intense emotions of the
Mm.
specific moments of those lifetimes. They're the bits that are hard coded, so to speak, into who you are, because your memory is a filing cabinet and it remembers all lifetimes. And so I know that reincarnation is true because I have memories of many different lifetimes. And I remember now that there are certain things in my childhood that were pointing me to and indicating certain past lives, because things that I knew about or things that I'd been to, locations, triggered deja vu. And it is sad that that's the way that humanity has evolved. But hey, we can change that through talking about it.
Yeah.
About attachments and whether you can have multiple souls living with you, yes, that's the next step. But I think it's very, very important for understanding mental health issues. And again,
Mhm.
like I might now have just suddenly got a big cross against my name because I'm not a registered psychotherapist or psychologist. But there are many, many books published by people with PhDs in psychology and psychiatrists who have used spirit releasement therapy to help clients in the field of psychology and psychiatry understand cases where there are spirits who are different to the ones that were with you, Isaiah, who are actually negatively intended and causing bipolar and multi-personality disorders of
Mhm.
sorts. I have to be very clear here because there's a technical medical
Yeah.
definition, and then
No,
there's
I hear you.
spirits
I hear you.
acting like you have NPD.
We're not diagnosing people here,
No, no,
but
no, but
still,
they
the
appear the same.
Mhm.
They appear the
Yeah.
same. And so, one of the things is that when you have mental health issues and you are using medication to alter your consciousness, you're not addressing and checking first to see which of those thoughts are actually yours, which can be removed gently and guided to the light. And so, I would love for people to understand that anxiety can be caused by attachments. So can ADHD symptoms, sensitivity symptoms, multi-personality kind of symptoms. But ADHD is a really, really interesting one because I think there just happen to be a lot of people, excuse me, who do have and do classify themselves as having uh, disorders and getting medication for it when it's actually just that they have grandmas or aunties or uncles or cats attached to them who didn't
Mm.
go to the light when they died. Yeah, and that's a big
Yeah, and
concept, and I don't expect humanity to get it straight away.
no, but we're not in a hurry for anything. But as a client myself, or as a guinea pig of that, I can attest that the the amount of freedom that I felt, the amount of space that was liberated in my psyche, the amount of things that I'm not doing anymore, that I'm not thinking anymore, that I'm not feeling anymore, because they were not mine, basically, is incredibly important. I mean, like, we're talking huge parts of me that were not of me. And that
Mm.
is um, really so cool. Now, of course, my next step, or as again as a guinea pig, or considering myself as a guinea pig, you never treated me like one. Let me be specific. Um, uh, the next thing was, oh, then the removing of is going to be painful.
Mm.
This is going to be hard and painful, and then the crazy words like exorcism and things like that come into mind. And again, I want to I would love for you to address that this is not the way you work, and it doesn't have to be painful, hard. For me, it felt like really in the liberation realm, like, ah,
Absolutely.
kind of more space to be there. um
Well, you are liberating a soul who's or a portion of a soul, so a person who's attached to you. And so let me explain the difference between exorcism, deliverance, and spirit releasement therapy. They're three
yes,
words.
absolutely.
And quite interesting at the moment, there's a brand new movie about the Pope's exorcist, which has famous Australian Russell Crowe in it. I'm not going to go see it. I've seen the shorts, and that's enough for me. I don't recommend you see it either. But it's based off a true story, which is about the Pope had a sanctioned and official exorcist. Now, in the Catholic Church, exorcism can only be conducted by appointed officials. Okay, and so you can go to YouTube and Google the actual exorcist, and you can see some live sessions, and it's quite distressing to watch. Actually, you'd be a tough soul if you didn't cry watching these people go through exorcism, because what happens is that they just lie down on a couch, or they sit on a couch, and the Pope starts doing his rites and blessing the person. Usually the family's there, but what they do is the Pope. I'm sorry, not the Pope. The Pope's exorcist. He, in Catholicism and a lot of religions, they believe that all spirits are inherently evil. Now, there are some spirits that are evil. Let me tell
Yeah.
you that, and and I have worked with demons as well, real life demons, but not all of them are, and it's a very, very small percentage which are. So they start from the fact that all spirits are evil spirits, and they are manifestations of the devil. And so they start off by provoking the devil. So
Oh,
they
yeah.
start talk to you as though they're talking to the devil himself, and they just start slandering, being like a bully in a schoolyard, just throwing verbal attacks. And so what happens is you see the person in the chair recoil, and as they recoil, they are overcome by this so-called negative spirit. Whether they are negative or not, they will then act as a negative spirit, and they will start thrashing around
Yeah,
and
nobody likes to be aggressed, verbally
and
assaulted.
speaking in a really negative manner. And so all of my discussions with spirits of any kind have actually discovered that if you speak with compassion and kindness and care and find out who the soul is, and who sorry, I'm getting some interference right now on the screen, who
Yeah,
the
the
soul
sound is
is.
fine. So this is going to be majorly an audio. So just ignore this. I don't know why it happens. Maybe we're doing something. The spirits are talking to the internet, but
Yeah,
we're mostly audio. So never mind.
it's usually when spirit comes past, if there is somebody floating around in your house or my house that's not necessarily attached, but they know that there's somebody who knows how to cross somebody over, that we see that interference on the screen like you just saw. Yeah, who's with me, Trudy? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm a magnet in time and space. If
Yeah.
we talk about something, I won't digress. So anyway, so that's exorcism, is where you do that, and then they drag the spirit out in the name of God. Generally speaking, exorcism tends to work for a day or two. The person feels completely normal, and then the spirit comes back in, because what they have done is they've they've not actually done anything with that spirit. They haven't sent them to the light. They haven't escorted them with angels.
Yeah,
So
they're just
that's
taken, pushed them out of the body for, but they have nowhere to go.
Yeah, it's called banishment. Yeah, they banish you.
Banishment.
Deliverance is a term which has been more used with, say, the Anglican Church and the non-Catholic parts of Christianity. And deliverance it comes from the Bible passages, deliver us from evil, and deliver us from evil.
Yeah.
And it is a way of going through and doing work with a priest or a minister, forgiving all the things that have happened to your life in a conscious level, and then going through rites and rituals again to, I guess, remove a spirit. Spirit releasement therapy is taking you into a hypnotic state, very super relaxed state, taking you up to a safe space, which is in the celestial realms, where you meet with your spirit guides, and then you actually do a body scan. And in the body scan, you identify any sounds, any sensations, any feelings, and locate it on your body. And so we ask the person to, I guess, sort of view themselves from above and imagine they have like a crystal wand or a lightsaber of some sort, and they can detect parts of their body which feel like they shouldn't be hurting or shouldn't have a sensation, like itch, scratch. And then we ask the question, if that itch or scratch or noise could say something, what would it be? And this is a principle which is used in other healing modalities as well.
Yeah.
It's the way to remove illness from the body. The somatic information in the body knows what's going on and why you have an illness or in the body. And so it's a dialogue-based discussion, and we find out what is this? Is it just simply an emotion that you've stored in the body from this life? Because I guess the important thing that I want to really let people know is that your thoughts and emotions become manifest in this world.
Yeah.
So when you have a thought or a fear, experience a major emotion, if you don't process that properly, it gets stuck in the chakras, the meridians and nadis, the muscles, the tissues. And if that emotion or thought is continually thought or felt, it's compounded, and it is energy. All things are energy. Thoughts, energy, emotions is energy, and that actually can come into being as a force. So you can create a negative entity out of your own thoughts. Trust me, I have seen this now. If you get very sensitive to energy and perceiving energy and being able to see energy, you will notice that if you get in a stinker of a mood, you can actually create a negative spirit out of your anger. I've watched it now. I have actually seen that, because
all powerful, aren't we?
If you look very carefully, you will learn to see energy, and when you are angry, and you will see the energy come out of your mouth, that then needs to be immediately transmuted and sent to source. Angel straight away. But yes, you have to realize that this disease can be created or negative feeling can be created into a spiritual entity. So you could have a perfectly, you could just a normal thought or emotion, and then suddenly, boom, you've created an entity out of your own thoughts. So that's why mindfulness is one step towards it, but it's very important to be aware of your mental health. And what you are thinking. The second thing is it can be an actual a lost soul who didn't go to the light. And the third thing is that it can be a implant from an extraterrestrial being who may either be a family member from another lifetime, or somebody who's just randomly conducting an experiment on you, as our dear friend Ruby found in our podcast episode, or monitoring you for some purposes. All of those basically are against spiritual laws of sovereignty in the body and the mind in our universe and in every universe. So the whole idea is that you don't want any form of attachment or soul residing in your body. All souls who have died belong in the light and deserve to
For
be in the
me, it was.
light.
I'm just going to interrupt you just for a second to testify, or for me, it was so obvious when we started the body scan what was mine and what wasn't. It was just like there was literally kind of a glowing light, mew, 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 this doesn't belong to you. And it was so, also, maybe I was lucky, but it was really very clear that there was no evil, it wasn't directed against me, whatever it was. And when we investigated together, any of those things, or souls or implants or whatever, we ended up finding so much love, in fact, and so much goodness. Everything was kind of done in good spirit, if I may provide this joke. But and yeah, that for me was really, that it felt foreign, so it wasn't mine, but it was not ill intention towards me. And it was just a kind of crazy circumstances, or even a weird way to take care of me, or of
Yes.
a part of me.
Yeah, we find that what happens is that, let me just also be very specific here, that you can have an attachment in this lifetime that's brand new. Like you walk past a hospital, you are energy sensitive, you haven't protected yourself. Very quickly, you can just surround yourself in diamond white light, in case your energy. Because hospitals are full of people who die, right? And so a lot of them die on the emergency table in the operating theatre. There is nobody who says, look for the angels, look for the light. And so there's lots of people floating around hospitals. So they will, a lot of my clients walk past a hospital, go visit a member, they get an attachment. The second part is that, and I know that I think you experience this, is that, so what happens is that when you get an attachment in a lifetime, any lifetime, right? When you die and go up to the light, they don't, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because they have become in resonance with you and your energetic signature, what I call the soul blueprint, when you reincarnate and come back down again,
they're still here.
They know you. They're like, Ma, here I am.
Absolutely.
And so attachment comes back. So you can have attachments for thousands of years, and thousands of years. I mean, I've experienced people with attachments from BC. So it's fundamentally important that we do talk about this, because the souls that are attached to you are doing a number of things. One is they're looking for safety. The lower astral realms, the place where you go to begin the journey to then go up to the light. So it's the darkness that you see, the tunnel, is a place of negative energy. It's all the confused and lost people who didn't know to look for the light or didn't believe to look for the light. Lots and lots of pagans I've dealt with as ghosts who are like, well, I don't believe in God, so where am I supposed to go? And it's, you imagine like walking into a room where it's just a whole bunch of people in a bad mood. Right, that's kind of what it feels like. I think it's like a room full of people with a hangover. That's what the afterlife is like. And then you've got the lower astral realms afterlife is a room full of people in a bad mood, and there's lots of bullies in there. Plus, there's the lower astral realm beings, and none of them can see each other. They're all feeling angry. They're all feeling lost. And if you have somebody walk past that as a bright light, or is in resonant to how they felt at the time of the death, or is similar to what they look like, or somebody who is married to them or something, then of course they're going to go towards you for safety.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they haven't gone to the light, so they haven't received healing. So they died of cancer, right? They still have, their etheric body is still in resonance of that dis-ease. Okay, and so they still feel the dis-ease. If they died in a car accident and they're full of blood and broken bones, they still feel that, the poor people. They haven't magically healed because they haven't gone to the light.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had angelic assistance. And so, from a compassionate nature, we want to get them healed for a start, no matter what happens.
Yeah.
And we want to get them healed so they can raise their vibration so they can go to the light. Secondly, we want their soul to be able to have a discussion with an angel that says, what just happened to me? One minute I was mowing the lawn, and then the next minute, boom, lights out. And suddenly I can see and hear everyone, but nobody can see me. You know, why can I walk through a wall? Why can I walk up this close to a person but can't get their attention? The only way I can get somebody's attention is if I disconnect their internet or their screen, or
Yeah.
you know, make the lights flicker, or burn out their kitchen oven, or whatever it is. And that makes them angry. So we want all souls to go to the light, irrespective of your religious beliefs, because in the light you receive healing. The angels, or whatever you want to call them, I call them angels, the higher light beings, they tell you and explain to you in your own words exactly what happened in your life and why it happened. And then they basically have a chat to you about, well, what does this mean for you? Why did this happen? What do you have regrets about? And so you release that, and then they reunite you with your family. And for some people, you just, depending upon the amount of trauma, you go to a special healing room, you receive healing for a very long period of time. When you finished your healing, then you may go to halls of learning to learn something that you didn't know about that would have impacted your incarnation more positively. And then you go to your soul council, and your soul council is your team that goes, right, let's talk about that incarnation. What were you happy with? What weren't you happy with? Let's pull out the document which said this is what you're supposed to do in this incarnation, and let's say, what do you want to do next? And then they'll go, rightio, soul family, who's coming along for the ride? Who wants to be in on this, and what roles are you going to do?
Yeah. And no way they're going, no way they
go.
choose to be attached to somebody else anymore.
Yeah, well, attachment isn't in the soul's plan. It's
Yeah.
not. There's nothing that says you're going to go to Earth and then you're going to have 75 attachments. It's not part of that process. So yes, attachments are draining you of physical life force as well. Yeah, draining you of physical life force, which is not good for you and not good for them. And importantly, when they died and haven't gone to the light, as I said, whatever was resonant with them is now resonant with your body. So if they died with some kind of a terminal illness, your body is residing and resonating with that. And I have got clients who have manifested the same terminal illness as the poor soul who
was attached.
So there could be no reason for them having that dis-ease in this lifetime, but they have it because of the entities that is attached.
Yeah.
Importantly, also their mood at the time of death. So anger, sadness, grief becomes part of you. And then depending upon the character, that like they have the same personality because they haven't healed, right? So depending upon the personality of the soul that is attached to you, they will either just hide in the shadows of you and just do nothing, or they will go, right, this is my granddaughter and I don't want her doing that, so I'm going to influence her thoughts so that she doesn't do this, which you've experienced, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to give her a perception about this part of her life. And it's not your perception. You're being clouded by what they thought of themselves and then what they thought of you. Yeah. So it's really very fascinating. You can almost like carve your thought stream and pull it aside and go, this part here doesn't belong to me. This part doesn't belong to me. That's somebody else. Oh, and this thought here, that's a belief system of the 1500s when they were alive.
Yeah.
That's not even mine. That doesn't, you know. So when you move across,
for me, one of the souls that was attached to me was died in fear, and so I was carrying way too much fear that was completely disconnected from my situation in my life and everything, and I was just in constant fear, kind of a basic constant fear for everything with no specific reason. And when we helped this soul, well, you mostly, I helped this soul into the light, what I felt was that, you know, the amount of fear that I happened to feel in my life had diminished by like 50%. and it was only happening when there was a kind of a reason, if a truck comes in front of you in a car or something like that. But and that was really impressive for me, because it felt like, up to a certain extent, I used to believe that my emotions are mine. Well, how wrong was I? How wrong was I that, I was kind of manipulated, by someone who was very unhappy doing that. On top of that, who wasn't even doing it as a mean thing to me or an evil thing to me or to himself, by the way. Just it so happened that died in fear, carries the fear, and glued it to me, kind of. And yeah, I know I'm insisting on that a lot, but that's what I experienced. And coming from where I come, which is not believing in spirits altogether, or being in fear. And again, where does the fear come from? But being in fear that any spirit would be evil. I want to insist very much that, with all the good intentions of a not evil spirit, it still kind of had me live in fear for most of my freaking life. So,
Yeah, we've got two
and
people hanging out.
regaining what you call sovereignty, kind of, okay, who the hell is the boss in my body, has been, and I'm not finished. I'm not even halfway there, but I feel like it's so. I feel like I understand myself so much better, because there are not bits of things that are, foreign, literally foreign. Like,
Yes, fine.
why?
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly. And I think one of the things that I've learned over the past couple of years is that when you release these people, that's what they are. They're people, and cats and dogs, as we've experienced. When you release them, there's actually a little bit of grief that has to go on afterwards, because you're not who you think you are. And
yeah,
you experience relief as well, that
absolutely.
you're not who you thought you were. And
Absolutely.
you have a lot of silence in your head, and you have to
Hmm.
readjust to being who you are. Okay,
Hmm.
so you're like,
Absolutely.
okay, who am I now? Let me
Yeah.
just think. Oh,
Yeah.
there's no people telling me who I am.
Hmm.
And it can fundamentally change the direction of your life,
Yeah.
because
And it
you
takes a while. I must say, it takes a
absolutely.
while. That's why I'm saying I'm not sure I'm finished. Adjusting to the space, the amount of space that is in there now, and what is left, aka mostly me. Who is that, by the way?
Yeah, who is that? Yeah.
Really a fascinating journey to be on, I must say.
Yeah.
And
And one of the
again,
things is
not
that
painful. Not
not painful,
painful.
not at
I,
all.
I,
No,
I
it's
have not been exercised. I'm fine. Thank you.
no, it's very there's no pain whatsoever. The most you feel is profound gratitude and great and sense of relief and sadness for that soul that
Yeah, there's a lot well, for me there was a lot
compa-
of compassion. Yeah, empathy
compassion.
with,
Yeah.
um, whoever was in there and whatever they have been experiencing in their lives. Let alone the implants, which is a whole nother story. um, but even the soul thing is just like, oh my god, so much misery, and so much joy at the same time for being able to give them their passage to light, kind of,
Mm.
not alone, obviously you were there to help, but also archangels and angels, and this, um yeah, I feel like it's doing a good deed, kind of,
It is. It's
also.
great spiritual
not
service.
only
It's
is it
very
not only is it releasing me, which is fine and very useful, but at the same time I feel like, oh my god, so many unhappy souls, and stuck people, basically.
yeah. I like to say, imagine you were a mother, even if you haven't been, or a father, and your child got lost for eternity,
Hmm.
and they found a hand to grab onto, and they stayed there with that hand until they were discovered. Wouldn't you, as their parent, say, please, thank you very much, but help me
Yeah,
take this soul, take my child to the angels,
yeah,
whatever you want to believe
obviously.
it is. It's really quite moving. The other thing that I want to point out is that like all healing, this is done in layers. So just because somebody has a couple of sessions 1 year doesn't mean that it's done and dusted. Yeah.
No.
As you heal and as you step into your power, the different healing and as you step into who you are will then shift any further attachments up. So I can only talk about my own self in that a lot of the attachments are stored deeply in the chakras. And if you imagine it's like a well that you're looking into and you're shining a torch into, right down very, very, very low, at ridiculously impossible levels, can be layers of attachment that will slowly come to the surface. So it doesn't speak any negativity to anybody to come back a year later and go,
layer 2, please. Level 2. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I've experienced it myself. And so sometimes it can be, initially you clear this life stuff, the stuff as you were walking past that somebody attached to you, and then you might have been a nasty old bastard in a lifetime, which I've been. And, you may have caused great chaos, and your ex-wife attaches to you out of spite. Ex-husband, whatever it is, or a fragment of their soul. Because when we have anger towards somebody and we think negatively towards somebody, it's like a spear is shot out, and that is an aspect of them. An aspect alone can attach to somebody. And so I've had an aspect of the soul of somebody I was once married to attach with great negative feeling to me. And that aspect has tried to sabotage my current lifetime, that aspect tried to sabotage my cat, Max, and did a very good job of it by sending a slug to attach to Max. And Max actually had had to work with Cindy. She's an amazing person, Cindy Porter, to help me with that. There was this physical friggin' slug attached, etheric slug on top of Max, which was sent that was draining Max's power and making Max attack my children. And I was like, this is not Max's behavior. And we cleared that. And then we found way down an aspect of somebody I'd pissed off in a
previous life.
And that aspect had enough consciousness to direct anger. So really important to live your life and clear and heal regrets and leave this life without anger towards other people.
Can I ask, because we're getting close to the end of this, because I'm trying to keep those under 45 minutes. Can I ask, why would someone think I need a session with Katische to see if I have a spirit attached? What are the symptoms? Let me go, because I came to you through other ways and not because I was conscious enough. I was unconscious completely. But I'm guessing, there are symptoms that people...
Yeah, so it's different for everybody. Some people physically can be being attacked by spirits in their own house. So there are like ghosts in the house that I remove ghosts in house as well now. So they can be living in your house and it's sleeping at night and you're getting attacked. Secondly, it can be that you can hear them. Some people can actually hear them. So they're the outlying cases. Generally, it's with anything to do with this, it's like I have an irrational emotion, fear, or thought. I have something
that is sticking to me, although I'm trying to do all the right things.
Yeah. It's like I have this belief that doesn't make sense. Like anyone that would look at me in my life would say, why does she believe that? That's totally out of line with her personality. Or you may awake in the night with huge fear and anxiety for reasons that have got nothing to do with you. So any mental issues that you have
seem out of place,
yeah,
out of character,
yeah, or particularly for people that can go, say maybe you notice your sister and you look if you could look back from high, you would say, at about the age 7, I don't know what happened, but something something happened to her. Sorry, I do live across the road from a hospital too. So this is the waking hour, 5 a.m.
Yeah.
So we are calling Archangel Michael, Uriel, Ariel, Azrael, Gabriel, please assist. You can look at them and say, about the age of 7, I don't know what happened to them, but they changed. They then became very sad or angry, or something fractured in their mind. Yeah. And it's at these points of intense emotion and fracturing that we say, okay, is this just a disassociated personality, which is a psychology term, where you basically have an aspect of yourself that goes into hiding and you have to go and pull them back and reintegrate the body? Or is this
Something.
the entrance of somebody else that then takes over? Yeah, so it's asking about things that don't make sense, basically.
Yeah. That's very, it's an easy way in, because if we observe ourselves, there are so many occurrences where you think, this, why? You know, I was talking earlier about the fear. I happen to have had a very safe childhood. So the reason why I was feeling fear day in, day out was obviously out of character, and out of logical reasons. And had I been less unconscious, I would have thought earlier about maybe it's not mine. So, yeah.
Can I just leave one last thought too?
Absolutely.
For those of you, and please hear this with the background that I trained in wineries and worked in wineries for many years. I went to university to study wine. Okay, so no dissing the wine industry. Sometimes these things happen when you alter your consciousness through alcohol, tobacco, vaping, any kind of smoking, psychotropic drugs. Whenever you alter your state of consciousness, and meditation, you have to always surround yourself with a diamond white light. Alcohol is the number one way that you basically, it's like if you imagine you turn your aura on and off. Bing, bing. Alcohol, tobacco, smoking, and any psychotropic drugs, any time that you're in an altered state of consciousness, boom, your aura goes down.
Yeah.
If you smoke, your aura gets shredded. So most likely, for most people, it's that one time at the
open
pub
door
where you drank way too much. And I have this coming up in the podcast later this year, where you've gone, oh, I don't remember going home. Boom, you're in the pub. Pubs are notorious for being, just ask any psychic at Ghost Hunter, they go to pubs because that's where they hang out. Don't drink alcohol is my humble.
Yeah, I would adhere to that one. I was a smoker for 35 years, and when I quit smoking, or rather when I became a non-smoker again, this is also a time where I felt so much more safe. And I can't explain that. This is the word that came to me. This is the feeling that came to me after something like a month of not smoking. I felt safer, which made no sense. Now it does.
Yeah.
Thank you for the explanation.
It's tobacco shreds your aura, and your aura is your protection, and it's also your aura is your immune system.
Yeah, really, really very. Thank you. This has been awesome, which I was expecting, but even better. Thank you so much. So, if you guys are curious now to investigate, where can we find Katiche? You will find all her promo, all the links to her website mostly, and to her podcast, The Infinite Life with Katiche, under the video or above the video. If you're listening to the audio on my podcast, every detail will be there. The basic link is https //katiche.com. So it's an easy one, except Katiche. Look at how it's written under the video. And if you want to listen to her podcast, there are so many episodes that are like, for me, it's like watching a detective story. Every time I listen to one of the podcast episodes, even my own, it's like a detective story, and an amazing one. So I just want to say how much you humble me, and I'm so happy to have met you in my life, and how important is the work you do, both when you do the work and you explain the work as well. So thank you very much. I'm so happy that we could have this conversation and maybe share a little bit more of the knowledge so that people get warned that things might be happening to them that they don't need to suffer through.
That's exactly right. Thank you so
And
much,
souls
Isaya.
and souls can be saved at the same time. So amazing.
That's right.
Win-win situation. Thank you very, very much. I will
Thank you.
see you around. The next episode is in less than a month. And I have no clue with who because it's not organized yet. So I'll talk to you later. Thanks again, Katish. Bye for now.